The learning objectives for this chapter are: identify and distinguish the different structures of the hair root. Point out and differentiate the differences among the three main layers of the hair shaft. Identify and explain the three types of side bonds in the cortex. Name and compare the differences among the three cycles of hair growth. Give examples of the common types of hair loss and explain what can cause hair loss. Identify and explain at least 3 options for hair loss treatment. Learn to identify the most common hair and scalp disorders seen in the salon and school, and then name which ones a physician should treat. Compare and describe the different factors that should be considered during a hair and scalp analysis. Hairstylists play an important role in many people's lives. All hair services must be based on a thorough understanding of the growth, structure, and composition of the hair. Let's discover the structure of the hair. Some of the key definitions are trichology. Trichology is the scientific study of the hair, its diseases, and its care. The hair root is the part of the hair located below the surface of the epidermis. The epidermis is the outer layer of the skin. The hair shaft is the portion of the hair that projects above the epidermis. Please take a look at the diagram on the right side of this slide. We're going to look at the structure of the hair root. Notice the hair follicle. The hair follicle is where you will find the distribution and the growth of the hair. The hair bulb is a club-like structure located below the epidermis. The dermal papillae and the erector pillae are also located below the epidermis. The sebaceous glands are where the sebum and/or oil is formed, which lubricates the hair and the skin. The erector pillae muscle is what's responsible for giving you those little things called goosebumps if you get cold. You hear people say, "It made my hair stand on end." The erector pillae is what would be responsible for making your hair stand on end. The structures of the hair shaft. The hair shaft is what we will be treating in the salon. The hair shaft, if you remember, is the portion of the hair strand that projects above the epidermis, or the top layer of the skin. The hair shaft has 3 main parts: the hair cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla. I like to think of the hair shaft as being like a pencil. If you think about it, the inner part of a pencil is the lead. The inner part of a hair shaft is the medulla. So the medulla would be the lead of the pencil. The cortex, which is where you find most of the protein and the structure which makes the hair strong, is the middle section of the hair. The cortex of your pencil would be the wood portion of the pencil. The hair cuticle is the outermost portion of the hair. The hair cuticle kind of lays on the strand of hair like shingles on a roof. They overlap one another. The hair cuticle is mainly to protect the cortex of the hair. So the cuticle on your pencil would be the paint of the pencil. If the paint of the pencil were not there and you're using a wood pencil that is rough, you might get splinters from the cortex portion of the pencil. Now let's take a look at the chemical composition of hair. Hair is approximately 90% protein. Let me say that again. If I say something twice, it's probably pretty important to remember it. Hair is approximately 90% protein. The protein is made up of a long chain of amino acids, which in turn are made up of elements. In other words, there's elements that link together to form a long chain of amino acids. The amino acids form the protein of which the hair is made. The major elements that make up the hair are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These are often referred to as the cons elements, COHNS, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These 5 elements are also found in the skin and in the nails. One more time. The major elements that make up the hair are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur, or cons. What are the percentage of these elements that the hair is comprised of? Carbon, 51%. Oxygen, 21%. Hydrogen, 6%. Nitrogen, 17%, and finally, sulfur, 5%. So cons, 51, 21, 6, 17, and 5. 51, 21, 6, 17, and 5. Important to remember. Keratinization. Keratinization is the maturing process of living cells that originate within the hair follicle. As these newly formed cells mature, they fill up with a fibrous protein called keratin. Amino acids. So, do you remember the little pop beads that you played with when you were about 18 months old? Probably not. But hopefully you've been around a toddler who's played with these little pop beads. Amino acids kind of link like a pop bead. There's peptide or end bonds. These different amino acids link together to form a polypeptide chain. That's what you're seeing on the right side of the screen.